There are several ancient mysteries throughout history of how stuff got to be made the way it was, and how they were even made. From Stonehenge to the Great Pyramid of Giza to Gobekli Tepe, many famous sites have left archaeologists absolutely stunned. For hundreds, even thousands of years, people have been puzzled by the supposedly melted steps in the Temple of Hathor in Dendera, Egypt. Fried by solar rays, melted by acid, the theories are absolutely wild. But what really happened? Were these steps really melted? Come with us on a discovery through time today on Amateur Archaeology to find out what really happened to these mysterious stairs. Before we uncover this mystery, we're going to delve into a little bit of the history behind the Temple of Hathor so that we can better understand these ancient, melted stairs. The Temple of Hathor was built around 54 to 20 BC. Many of the other surrounding structures are thought to have been even built as far back as 2500 BC. The Temple of Hathor itself, though, is sometimes considered to be one of the most well-preserved temples in not just the Dendera complex, but in all of Egypt. Inside the nearly 40,000 square foot interior of the entire Dendera complex is a sacred lake, a basilica, and the Temple of Birth of Isis, among other religious sites. The Temple of Hathor, though, was built to pay tribute to Hathor, the Egyptian goddess of fertility, sexuality, music, dance, and the sky. And most importantly, represented the symbolic mother of the pharaohs. She was one of the most worshipped gods in Egypt and is often seen wearing cow horns and a sun disk. If we were to step back in time, we would see Egyptians worshipping her in what might look to be some kind of Egyptian rave. Egyptians would drink, dance, sing and play lots of music inside these walls. Drums would be played all through the night whilst people danced, covered in jewelry. No Van Halen. Just quite yet. Not for another few years, at least. So, with such festivities, it's no surprise that this huge temple was built in her honor. The main portion of the temple was built by Ptolemy XII and finished by Cleopatra VII around 54 BCE. Within the temple, there are many shrines dedicated to different gods worshipped by the Egyptians, such as Isis, Ra and Sekher, and a huge carved depiction of what many believe to be some sort of electrical lighting called the Dendera light, which we'll talk about in a second here. The true meaning of these carvings, though, has left historians scratching their heads, but the real mystery in this temple lies towards the west of the temple, leading to the rooftops. Lining the walls are carvings of pharaohs, gods and goddesses, but looking down to the spiraling stairs that lead out to the roof are melted? Dimples and what almost look like a stream of melted stone weave through the center of the staircase. So, what could have caused this strange phenomenon? One crazy theory is that Egyptians may have used electricity, nuclear weaponry, or some other type of advanced technology to melt the steps down. The temperatures would have to be blindingly hot to be able to generate enough heat to melt the stone. However crazy this may seem, the Dendera light may hold the key to understanding if this theory is true. The picture shows a figure holding onto what seems to be a massive light bulb directed up in the sky, with a small pillar keeping it in place, connected to a strange snake or cord inside the light bulb. Peter Krasser and Rainer Habeck, two Austrian authors, wrote a hypothesis that this artwork did prove that Egyptians used electricity, and this theory was tested by W. Garn, an engineer who made a replication of the device. But we must remember to read. Hieroglyphs beside the carving give this a very different meaning. Translators explain that the so-called Dendera light is in fact an ancient engraving that shows two oval cartridges with what seems to be a snake inside each one. The entire illustration is supposedly reminiscent of the inside of present-day incandescent light bulbs, which has led many people to believe that instead of being a typical set of symbolic images from Egyptian mythology, the odd representation on the temple's wall could be evidence of advanced ancient technology in ancient Egypt. In actuality, though, it's incredibly unlikely that Egyptians were able to create such technology in order to melt these steps. Though this is never something that should be entirely ruled out, we can't make such a claim until we see more substantial proof. There's not much we can go off in regards to claiming this is a legitimate theory. Disregarding this specific theory though, and looking into one that experts seem to see more eye to eye with, is that the stairs were made of limestone and that erosion could have occurred due to flooding. As limestone is porous, it is naturally not water resistant, so if there indeed was flooding throughout the temple, then this could easily explain as to why the steps have been worn away in the manner they were. You can almost see the flow of water in the way the stairs have been weathered. In fact, it was well known that Egyptians often feared floods and named the season between June and September Akhet, or the inundation. This is when the Nile would flood its banks, drenching the earth and replenishing the soil. However, the steps to the roof were very high up, and the only way that the steps would have been damaged in this manner are if there was a constant flow of rain, which would have been not too likely. While this is a fairly widely accepted theory, one other theory is that the steps have been worn down by people. Limestone is very soft, and so it's easy to see that over time the stones would have been worn down like many other steps in ancient temples, just like the ones in this temple. Hundreds, even thousands of feet would have walked over these steps, and over time, the steps would have eroded. On top of this, the wind carrying sand through the hallways would have added to this erosion over time. So as much as we would love to believe that Egyptians mastered electricity long before we did, it's down to the temple's popularity in terms of usage that the steps have eroded. The temple has welcomed people from all over the world for thousands of years, and although the stairs are damaged, it doesn't ruin the beauty of this historic monument. If you enjoyed today's episode of Amateur Archaeology, please make sure to like this video, subscribe, and don't forget to smash the absolute crap out of the bell button so you can get notifications on our latest videos and our ancient coin giveaway that we're going to start doing once we hit 5,000 subscribers. Please also share this so we can hit that benchmark even faster. But in the meantime, we'll see you next time, only on Amateur Archaeology.